Today, Israel and fighters in the Gaza Strip reached an agreement on a ceasefire, which is welcome news, a break in the killing of innocent civilians. The Biden administration had been working behind the scenes to broker this deal, so yes, it is a victory for them too. But one thing that the days of fighting revealed was the strong allyship that has developed between Palestinians and the Black Lives Matter activists. During protests after the police killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson in 2014, some Palestinians identifying with the struggle of the BLM activists took to social media to give advice on how to deal with tear gas. It is easy to see why Palestinians would sympathize with BLM because police responses in Ferguson and during other BLM protests often make them look like scenes from a war zone. This past summer as well, when millions marched after the killing of George Floyd, some Palestinians took to Twitter again in support. George Floyd's image would even appear painted on the separation barrier on the border of the West Bank. This empathetic link between black oppression in this country and the plight of the Palestinians is not new. Philosopher and activist Angela Davis has long argued that there is a deep link connecting the U.S. prison industrial complex, racial violence, and the Palestinian political incarceration. In 2015, a delegation of Black Lives Matter activists, Ferguson leaders, and Dream Defenders took a 10-day trip to Palestine, where they sought to make connections with Palestinian activists. BLM co-founder Patrice Khan-Cullors said that year that black Americans felt a kindredness with Palestinians because of their eerily similar experiences. And during the current conflict, Black Lives Matter has thrown its support behind the Palestinians with a tweet. There is now new discussion about how young people in this country have shifted their responses to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East and debate about the impact of Black Lives Matter on that shift. Joining me now to discuss is Palestinian American activist and co-founder and executive director of MPower Change, Linda Sarsour, and Black Lives Matter organizer, Zellie Imani. Hello, both of you. Thank you for joining me.
Hello.
Linda, you are a Palestinian Muslim American. What are you, how do you, is this new? Are people just talking about it now in a different way? Or is this a long-standing kind of sympathetic relationship between Palestinians and activists here, black activists here in America?
There's been a long-standing history of solidarity from Black Americans with the Palestinian struggle, dating back to the days of Malcolm X, Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael. Even SNCC in 1967 wrote a letter in solidarity with the Arab and Palestinian people. So again, Angela Davis, as you have mentioned, and this legacy continues with people like Zellie and Mark Lamont Hill and Black Lives Matter and the Movement for Black Lives, and of course, many other academic scholars and clergy, because there's a very clear connection and a kind of empathy that Black Americans feel when seeing what's happening in Palestine. And particularly they connect it to the fight against South African apartheid. What's happening in Palestine, Charles, is apartheid. It's very clearly apartheid, but also the militarization of Palestinian land, where a lot of Black Americans see the connections of the type of police brutality that Palestinians experience, that Black Americans experience here. And also in your previous segment, when you were talking about the reports, it reminds me of a quote from Ida B. Wells: "Those who commit the murders write the reports." And the Israeli government has for so long oppressed the Palestinian people and have been the only voice in kind of describing what is happening on the ground. And so people took their word for it. And now we have social media. So you cannot deny the videos. You cannot deny the mothers crying over their children being slaughtered in the Gaza Strip. You can't deny the video of police brutality on the ground in the West Bank of Palestine, nor what was happening to worshipers at Al-Aqsa Mosque during the holy month of Ramadan. And also, Charles, one thing that I hope particularly our Black American allies and friends and neighbors know is that there are Black Palestinians. In fact, we have a population of Black Palestinians in Palestine, so that there is not only just a empathy with Palestinians, but there's a kindred with their brothers and sisters who are also Black Palestinian.
Zellie, there was a massive kind of groundswell of politicians this time around putting pressure on congressmen mostly putting pressure on the Biden administration to do more. And many of the people who were putting pressure on were younger members of Congress. Do you see a generational shift here happening where younger progressive Democrats are just saying, we can no longer abide this much, at least civilian casualties in these conflicts? Or is it not generational? It's just a new wave of awareness.
I'm not quite sure if I would say it's a generational thing. I think more so is this new moment of awareness in a new space that has been created in this moment, where people now have the confidence and the knowledge to talk about the occupation in Palestine, when before they didn't have the comfortability, didn't feel the safety in order to talk about these things. I think with the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement, we was able to talk about, militarizations. We were able to talk about occupation. The Black Lives Matter movement talked about defunding the police, talked about, the abolition of the police. Because for so long, in the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, people framed it as we just want the end to police violence. But how do we actually get an end to police violence? How do we get an end to state violence? And once you're able to talk about these ideas, that it's not going to come from body cameras, it's not going to come from racial bias training, it's going to be actually come from dismantling the system that is oppressing us, is able to us to allow, have a critical lens of what's going on everywhere around the world. That if we want to end the oppression of the people of Palestine, it's not about ending the rockets. Ceasefires are great, but that's not going to end all the violence. Palestinians going through checkpoints is still violence. Palestinians getting strip searched is still violence. Palestinians having their farms and their homes being taken away from them is still violence. So we want to end violence in Palestine. We need to end the apartheid, and we need to end the oppression. Just like if we want to end the violence that Black Americans face here, we need to dismantle the system that is oppressing us.
Linda, to Zellie's point, it's a ceasefire, right? But it is not a solution to the overall problem. And if the pattern holds, the ceasefire, then there's a quiet period, but nothing changes fundamentally about the power struggle on the ground. There are real, long-standing political questions that still need to be answered. Is there ever going to be a two-state solution? Will the Palestinians be able to, have self-rule in the West Bank? There are real questions to be answered. What do you think we go from here? Is it just another cycle, another turn of the circle where we're going to be right back here in a few months or a few years?
Unfortunately, yes, Charles, if we don't actually start making political demands of our powerful members of Congress and the White House administration. Unfortunately, our position on Israel has been bipartisan. It didn't matter if you were a Democrat or a Republican. Our administrations have been unequivocally in support of the state of Israel. A ceasefire basically is stop slaughtering Palestinian children for a few months. And we go into not a quiet period, but a dark period where the media turns away, where oppression is still happening on the ground. What we really need there is to cease just the fire. We need to cease occupation. We need to cease the siege on Gaza. We need to allow the Palestinian people the freedom to come to the negotiating table. Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King and many others have said this: only free men can negotiate. So you cannot expect people who are literally under the boot of the state of Israel to come to be fair and equal negotiators at the table. And what I'm hoping happens is that we start conditioning military aid to Israel. There is a bill that is on the table in Congress from Congresswoman Betty McCollum from the great state of Minnesota that basically says, look, American taxpayer dollars should not go to funding an illegal occupation of the Palestinian people. It should not go into annexing more land. It should not be going to detaining Palestinian children. It seems quite reasonable to me. And your question about a two-state solution is important because a lot of people are learning about this, Charles. There is no two-state solution. It is logistically impossible with the building of the settlements in the little center of Palestinian occupied territories. There's no way. And so what I believe in, which is what I hope others believe in, is one state, democratic state, where we all have a constitution that applies, where everyone adheres to that constitution, where we work together, We marry one another. We are able to travel freely. We are able to live in a true democracy together and coexist. And for folks that don't know the history, we always coexisted. Palestinian Jews, Muslims, and Christians lived in historic Palestine. So when people lecture Palestinians about peace, we know peace because we lived peace. We have only seen our peace taken from us in 1948 when the State of Israel was created.
So, Zellie, last question here. I mean, I think a lot of times people don't want to take a human rights stance on the issue around Gaza, West Bank, and Israel because no one wants to be called anti-Semitic. But you know, saying something about what the Israeli government is doing is not the same as condemning all the Jewish people in that region or in the world. It is a separate thing. The government is acting in ways that is putting too many civilians in harm's way, and in fact, there's too many civilians dying. I think it is okay to say that. How do we make that statement to leaders that it is okay to have a human rights stance here, that it has nothing to do with what you hating Jewish people or condemning Jewish people. It is just saying that the state of Israel needs to act in ways that do not kill so many civilians.
Right. I think that's what this moment is so crucial for us, right? Because the violence that's happening now isn't something that's new. It's been going over for 70 years. But what is new is us creating a space for us to call it occupation, for us to challenge the violence that Israel is perpetuating in Palestine. That's what's new, and that's what we have to continue doing. More and more people are talking about this occupation and calling it out for what it is. I have a Muslim brother who is Palestinian, and he said for so long, he himself was calling it a conflict. He's like 30, 40 years old. He had to tell himself he needs to stop calling it a conflict because it's not a conflict. A conflict is like two children like arguing over, a toy. That's a conflict. What's going on in Palestine is not a conflict. It is ethnic cleansing. Once we're able to champion this language and embrace this language and make our narrative the dominant narrative, that is how we win. For so long, the dominant narrative was the narrative from Israel, right? And that whenever we wanted to learn more about it, or when we started to talk about it, we was called either anti-Semitic, or we're saying that we don't understand because it's too complicated. But it's not too complicated. Palestinian brothers and sisters are always trying to tell us like what was really going on. Unfortunately, it was always the Israeli side, the Zionist side, that was saying that it was complicated. And the only reason they were saying it was complicated because they didn't want us to learn what was truly happening. Because if we learned what was truly happening, then there's potential for us to side with the Palestinians. Because we as Black people, we know occupation, we know colonization, we know the taste of tear gas, we know these things to be true. And once we're able to understand what is going on in Palestine, there's no justification for it, and we would automatically side with our people in Palestine. And that's what's happening now.
Linda Sarsour, Zellie Imani, thank you so much. This is a really important conversation, and you really were enlightening tonight, I think, for our audience.